Hello.
Whoa.
Hi.
Good
That was an
evening.
intro. Wow.
Oh, you like?
Yeah, walking through woods and going down hallways.
I do like the walking through woods girl. I don't know how I timed it like that to make it to where she starts and like the music changes, but I was
Right.
like, I'm not touching it. It's good.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Brilliant.
But how are you two this evening?
We're doing
Having a great
great. We're doing great. Aw, hi.
I'm sure the peaches will all be on, so because
Awesome.
they love you guys too. Which
Yeah.
not to jump ahead of things, but I do want to say I still want to order a pair of peach shoes from you.
Oh, okay. I'll
I
get them
want to order
done.
those. I don't want to forget.
I'll get them done. Yeah, for sure.
I want it. So, Roz, really quick, tell everybody why I just ordered peach shoes from you.
Well, they know you as a member of the
Oh,
Paranormal Peaches, but
Jossie wants a pair too. So
Oh.
we'll have to text you our sizes.
Okay. Yeah, we'll set it up. But
Okay,
yeah, I'm a graphic designer, and I've had them under various brands. And actually, I'm actually doing a rebranding now. Hi, Lauren. I'm doing a rebranding again, so my site is not entirely live. But yeah, I make different paranormal, metaphysical themed, spiritual merchandise. So I design banners and mugs, t-shirts, sweatshirts. I have these really cool t-shirt dresses that are I'm designing right now that are just comfortable and really cool designs. And yeah, everything from Bigfoot and aliens to, tarot cards and angels. And yeah, so that's something I've been doing for a while. Last year in Gettysburg, I debuted some paranormal ghost printed sneakers.
And that stopped me dead in my tracks. I was like, I did not know you did this.
Yeah, I do. And that was a print I designed myself. And it's something that it's funny because, I had only brought one pair. Hi, Chris. I
If they had them, I would totally get them, Chris. I would totally get them.
That's why he was asking me about a taste test earlier. I wasn't sure what that meant, but I get it now. Cool. Thanks, Chris.
Lauren, one of our teachers, wants a t-shirt dress.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, they're just comfortable. It's summer. Hoodies are great and all that, but yeah, you want to be comfortable.
Your website and stuff is down. Can we message you?
Yes.
Or email? Would you prefer email or message?
Anyone that wants to get in touch directly. I mean, if we're already friends on Facebook, you can message me. If we're not, you can go to our Facebook page, which is the one that Michael and I have as the umbrella for my, I'm a serial entrepreneur, so I always have different stores going on. But it's facebook.com.
Serial like multiple things, not she's a serial entrepreneur, like she's
not like Blueberry.
I was gonna say she's a woman of many layers. Like
you can't stop me.
It's like I'm peeling and it's not going anywhere.
I do it all, and it's just, if it's a creative project, I'm digging it, and if I can make a living doing it and just feel excited every day when I get up and go to work, then which means put on my pajamas and sit here at this table, then I'm really happy. But yeah, facebook.com/Song of the Spirit is where you can reach Michael and I, and you can message us there.
Yeah. So I am definitely going to give you my shoe size. I love, they were like little high tops, right?
They
Almost
were
like
low tops. I also have high tops.
you do low
Mhm.
tops. I have to see. You have pictures and stuff, right?
Yeah, I can put
Oh,
together some samples and we can
um,
see what you have in mind. But
yeah.
I can print anything. As long I can't do, I don't do copyright infringement.
Right, right,
So,
right.
I can't make you Disney sneakers,
Wait,
but
what?
I
You
know.
actually respect
I know.
the copy? What?
Let me tell you,
You're not trying to steal anything from
it's
anybody?
really tricky because, unless you're aware, have an awareness of what you really can and can't do. I've
Yeah.
seen a lot of people in the field make products that have copyright infringement. It's very explicit. And most of the time, you fly under the wire and nothing bad happens. But when it happens, there is a couple in Florida who they're not paranormal, but they've been selling mouse ears for years.
Oh.
Disney told them to stop, and they didn't.
Well, why the hell?
They doubled down, and Disney is actually has them in court, and they stand to lose not just the profits, but Disney is going hard for them because they tried to work with them and they wouldn't. So,
Why the hell
basically
would you try to go up against Disney?
I don't know. You know what the thing is though? If you go on to Etsy right now, you will see so many copyrighted things that people are just making. And most people don't realize they're not doing it to be jerks. They think it's accessible. They think it's out there. And if you can download the gift, they think you can do it.
Boom.
And so I'm not judging them. I just want people to be aware that if they come for you, it's gonna be bad. It's going to
Yeah.
be because you will lose. And, for example, I have a shirt, and you have to know that there's variations. One of my top selling designs is it's actually a parody. So I took the Dunkin' Donuts logo, I used that to inspire a parody that says Huntin' Ghosts, using a similar font, a similar color scheme as Dunkin' Donuts, branded for people that love coffee and ghost hunting. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That
I remember you
type
guys
of
had a
thing.
shirt too, right? I
Yeah, I've
remember
got
that.
shirts and
I used to
Mugs.
I
mugs.
thought I bought a shirt. Where the hell did that go?
It's one of my favorites, and it
I
and it
love
stays
it.
popular, and it's been stolen so much. I've actually had to go on to sites like Redbubble and TeePublic and places and issue my own takedowns. And fortunately, all the companies did take them all down. But
Wow.
yeah, it became very popular. But the point is that it's a parody.
Go
So,
Brian.
hi, Greg. So you can get away with, and just if you're going to get into business, you have to treat it like a business and just be careful. Because I care about everybody in this community. I don't want to see bad things happen. Yes, Megan, you have to be careful with images that are used. And again, I don't sit and judge. I
Oh,
didn't
okay.
know all this until I had started doing it myself, and now I'm aware because I've seen the trouble and how badly it can end. So just be careful. Just because it's out
Absolutely.
there, just because other people are doing it. We
Um,
don't want to give us a black eye. Also, just as the paranormal. I mean,
right.
you know
See,
what
I
I
love
mean?
that. See, this is why I love you.
Yeah.
See? You're like you don't want this is your passion. You love the
Yeah.
paranormal field. You love the paranormal community. So
Yeah.
you care about that before you care about ripping somebody off for money.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And
And that is so I mean, it's getting harder and harder to come by.
yeah. Oh, thank you for saying that.
Unfortunately. I mean,
Yeah.
so I love that you guys are the way you are. I love it. So more people
Thank
this is
you.
why I have you on my show because more people need to hear this.
Oh, thank you.
Um, I wanted Brian beat me to it. I hope you're still
Hi,
watching.
Brian.
But as soon as you said hello, I was gonna and I did the heart, I was gonna say 93.7 in the house, hashtag, but you beat me to it. Sorry. Um, and then
Was that code for something?
93.7. Yeah. So me, him, and Rochelle say we're gonna get shirts made, say hashtag 93.7 because when we were I don't know if we were live, but we definitely were when they were on my show and we were in the back chat or talking. But we talked about how the two of them, they were saying they were arguing over like who does most of the work and who doesn't, and you know what I mean. And he said 93.7, and I can't remember how that actually became a thing between the three of us, though. Now that I'm talking about it, something happened in that convo and so now we're just like 93.7 everything, you know. I know that was really long-winded.
It's
answer.
more intense than 24/7, you know.
That I think is the key.
So like he'll put a post up and I'll go, I'm so awesome. And I go 93 slash I go hashtag 93.7% of the time. You know,
That's
like
perfect.
but we always
Multi-purpose.
will do it to each other, you know?
Yeah.
So I love it. It's like a little joke between us. I love it.
Studious.
I still have my t-shirt. I bought it from you. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Salem. Oh, we had some good times in that witchy city, didn't we?
I gotta
So
go.
many great events. If you guys have never visited Salem, Massachusetts, you know, it's tough during the Halloween season. I mean, that's when it gets inundated. So if you really want to go and like have just a crazy crowd experience, awesome. If you really want to have just more time to explore like the history and just really kind of feel the vibes, you're better off going off maybe not during the busy season. But yeah, if you haven't been to Salem, Mass, it's definitely highly recommended. Highly recommended place.
So I've never been there. And
Oh.
I've never been there. However, I just landed to come on the brew. Thank God I landed Bob Murch to come on.
Oh, yes. Oh, I know Bob. I know Bob.
But he goes, "Do you mind if I have a friend come along?" And I'm like, "No, who?" I'm sorry if I butcher this last name. I
Rick
don't need
Schreck?
to. John, oh gosh, John Zon starts with there's a Z in it somewhere. He owns the Salem Witchboard Museum.
Oh, that's
Ooh.
awesome.
Kosnick,
How
John
cool
Kosnick,
is
maybe?
that? No, I don't know him.
Yeah, he owns the Salem Witchboard Museum.
Yeah.
So I am looking forward to that. So there's some now that you're talking about Salem, I'm like,
Oh,
okay,
that's super
I guess
cool.
I got to go to Salem.
You know, Rick Schreck is
Oh,
also
thank you for
someone
sharing.
who's part of Bob Murch's Talking Board Society. Rick is the one who designed, he's a tattoo artist in North Jersey. So if you want to get a tattoo, House of 1,000 Tattoos in North Jersey is a place to go.
Of course,
But Rick is the one that did Ouijazilla, which was like the world's largest Ouija board, and they assembled it
they
up
don't do
in
it anymore.
Salem.
Oh, they do.
It was huge. Like you could stand on it and put a drone up above you and see you on this giant board. And it actually was so large, it's actually in the Guinness Book of World Records.
Wow.
And Rick Schreck, I actually met him, even though he's a Jersey boy and I'm a Jersey girl. I met him down in Baltimore back during those Baltimore riots. Remember those like years ago?
Yeah.
We were in town because Bob Murch was putting on the first ever WouijaCon.
That is so. I missed this. What year was this?
Ouija board convention. Oh gosh, my memory. I don't know. I can't remember the year.
That cool.
I did see in the comments. I did see one of our friends who was there. I know he would know the date, but I can't remember the date, but it'll probably pop in the comments. But yeah, it was the first ever Ouija board convention. Megan. Yeah, Megan was there too. And Jim. Yep, Jim, 2015. Jim, yep. And we were there as Jim Jones. Yep. He down the last comment that just came in at 8:55. It was crazy. And the funny thing about that, like, you know, I'm from a background of groups. Like my first like real actual negative paranormal experiences derived, I believe, from Ouija board use, like an obsession I had when I was a teenager. And yeah, it's now, yes, the origin of the Ouija board down there in Baltimore is now actually a 7-Eleven. There's a plaque on the wall.
A connection with Ouija boards?
Yeah, I had this horrible experience when I was a kid. Yeah. I became obsessed with a board. I had one of those old wooden ones that belonged to a family member, and you know, we believed that maybe some negative things that happened with the board, but with me using it, me and my friend used it, and yeah, we were obsessed with this board and really believed that we were talking to these entities that were actually telling us that they were demons. And it's funny because it sounds stupid. It sounds like everybody says the D word, demons. This is like, you know, we're talking the 80s. You know, there was no paranormal TV show filling your head with these buzzwords just to scare you. It was just really weird. And it was so insidious the way using the board, starting off just having a good time, treating it like a Monopoly game, and then getting to the point that I was actually so afraid of it, but I also couldn't stop using it. So
Yeah,
we would
yeah,
use it during the day. We would talk to these entities. We draw pictures of them. I mean, I was like 13,
yeah.
she was maybe like 11. And by the time they took the board from me, I was afraid. Every night I'd be terrified. I would hear sounds at night. They would scare me. One night I came out of my bedroom to use the bathroom and I saw something about waist high with glowing green eyes standing outside my bedroom door. Scared the crap out of me.
I vote no on that.
Yeah.
Whatever I'm doing, if I see 3-foot tall creatures with glowing green eyes,
Yeah.
it's a hard no.
Usually most people would stop, but I was obsessed because it was a slow progression.
I have a question though. Like knowing what you know now, because obviously you have learned a lot since then.
Yeah.
And I'm just devil's advocate.
Sure.
Do you think that maybe the same way your mind can, the mind's powerful. Do you think maybe that you were so obsessed that you were creating these things, or do you think it was knowing what you know now? Do you think you really were connecting with something spiritual or on a spiritual level?
I genuinely believe, and I believe what you say, that we can self-manifest things. Michael and I have talked a lot about energy, about thought forms and tulpas and how you can manifest intentionally or unintentionally entities or activity. But it was at a time that, it was like 1985 or so. Like you didn't have access to cell phones and we didn't have the internet, right? So you didn't have access to these things that would plant images of what these things should look like in your mind. So if you had told me, even today, if you'd asked me, Roslyn, draw a picture of what you think a demon, or describe what you think a demon would look like, I might say it's small, I might say it's dark. I would probably not say it has green eyes. Usually you would think red. That's what you would be programmed. And it wasn't just red or green pupils. It was the entire, like there was no pupil. The entire, eye was glowing green, and I saw it. I mean, I saw it. And by the time they took the board from me, I literally believe that God was talking to me through the board because the board told me. So the point of the story is that, I had my own negative experiences with the board. And then later on, I joined a paranormal research group from out of New Jersey, where as a group, we had a very hard line against Ouija boards. We believe that they were a gateway to things that, you don't want to deal with.
Wait, were we part of the same group? But
probably. We were.
At different times?
We were. There's a lot of us. And, so it almost became paranoid. And I'm not saying they weren't justified. And I'm not saying that people aren't justified in saying, whoa, I don't want to mess with those. I mean, we don't own a board. We don't use the board. But I know for a fact that I've had paranormal experiences related to the board. I know that some of the dark cases that I've worked on seem to originate or be exacerbated by Ouija board use. And we see it as a tool that, like many other tools, but it seems to be one where people just let their guard down more because it feels like a game. It feels like a trick. It feels like I do this and it reacts. So it's real easy to keep wanting to do that thing. So if the point of me going to that Ouija con was, I was a vendor there. So the point of me, and I was invited, I wasn't on the poster. I didn't speak, but I came as a vendor. One of my points was, I don't want to knee-jerk, wholesale, close off entire aspects of paranormal. I kind of want to, instead of just knee-jerk go, no, I can't help you if you have a board. If you won't give me the board, relinquish the board to me, I won't come and help you, which was kind of one of the policies of my group. I kind of wanted to look at things objectively and realize that it is as a tool, like many other tools, if you use it in a way that is intelligent, that is thoughtful, that you do some protection, or you have your head in a good space, that it can be a tool like many of the other tools that we utilize. What's your opinion on, Michael?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that it's that aspect where sometimes folks, and that's an interesting comment that you posted from Irene.
Yeah.
I think
It
that
was from
that
watching from Japan, by the way. So Japan,
heck yeah,
Oh,
wow.
thank you.
But yeah, that there are folks who believe that if you just have a sunshiny attitude, that's all that paranormal and spirituality can be. Like it cannot affect you negatively. So that to me is the cautionary thing about a story or an experience like Roz had, that uh, we should still, because it's really hard to know exactly what that thing is, or to have those scientific certitudes, then we should kind of always try and use discernment to see, it's kind of like that concept of what is the fruit of this thing. If it's giving you good results and doing good things, okay. But if it's leading to bad things, we have to be cautious when we're exploring haunted locations or
but is it the
asking.
board or is it yourself allowing you to go down that road of exploring the bad side of it?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know if they're wired a particular way, small W, or like she said, is it just the way that it can become addictive or seem harmless? I'm not sure.
And that you're allowing it just to sit down and use it, you're inviting something to interact with you physically.
Yeah.
So
But that's what Bob, I remember phenomenology. I went into Bob Murch's lecture about the Ouija board. And
yes.
much like you guys before that, it was taboo. I never got to play with one. You know why? Because I started to walk in the house with one, and my mom was like, "Get that thing out of our house right now."
Oh, good job, Mom.
And I
You
was
were
like,
probably young.
"What?" Yeah, I was like 8 years old. I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
And she goes, "Don't you bring that thing in my house. You take it back where you got it." And I'm like, "We're just going to play. It's a game." She goes, "It is not a game, and get it out of my house." So right away, I already had this thought in my head from my mother that they were bad news. I had no idea why.
Yeah.
I saw The Exorcist when I was 4 years old. My mom said she walked in and me and my grandfather were laughing. Like, so it just never, it wasn't, a thing, but, she then, when I got older, told me some experiences she had, which would freak me out. So I get why she didn't want the board in there.
Yeah.
Because of course they grew up when Exorcist came out, right? So they see the board, so they were playing with it for those reasons. And then I went to Bob Murch's lecture. So my whole life, and again, I was a part of the same group you were, so I was taught the same thing. If we found one, we had to take it out. We could not do it. We wouldn't do the investigation. So again, there's that. This is a bad thing. But Bob Murch happened in my life.
Yeah.
And I saw his lecture, and he said, and this is the most profound thing for me because I'm such an EVP person, and I have 7 recorders. They're going all the time. But he said, the Ouija board is no different than a recorder, a digital recorder. You're still using a device in a way to try to speak with spirit or try to speak with someone that died, an entity. You're still doing that.
Yeah.
It's just an electronic Ouija board,
Yeah.
and
in a way it is.
Yeah. He's like, so if, you would have to think that about everything, not just this,
I will say that one small differentiation between the two is, granted, a lot of times we have our voice recorder in our hand, but we're not asking the entity to manipulate something that we are also using, that we're actually physically moving. Like when you're using that board, your hands are on the planchette. You're asking that entity to move this thing that you're already connecting with physically in real time. You're not getting a recording and listening back or listening through headphones. It's happening now. It's, hey, I'm holding this thing, this tug of war rope, grab this other end and let's go. You know what I mean? And, again, are you just inviting anybody to come in, and you're saying, if there's anyone here who wants to talk, come and move this thing that I'm grabbing, come and take advantage of my energy, come get in my space. I invite thee in. if you do believe in demons, which not everyone does, and I'm fine with whatever you believe. I've gone through, my beliefs have morphed and shifted through the years. But if you do believe that these negative entities are out there, then most people also believe that they have sort of these rules of engagement, where they don't generally just swoop down upon you unsuspecting when you're minding your own business. In most cases, you have some sort of participation, whether you invite it, allow it, permit it, um, ask it to, touch this thing that you're also touching. So, it's all theoretical. We don't know what ghosts are. We don't know what demons are. We don't know if
Right.
we're imagining it all. We don't know if we're in the
Yeah.
Matrix and, part of the Borg. Like, we don't know.
We don't know if we're in
We
the
don't
movie The
know.
Others.
Yeah,
We've seen the
exactly.
movie The Others.
Exactly. Spoiler alert. We're
Wow.
the ghosts. So, so anything we're saying is just food for thought because we don't
Yes,
know.
on what we believe.
We don't know.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
it's great to talk about, and with
Yeah.
like-minded people who are open-minded and who have made an effort to shed that knee-jerk paranoia. Like, okay, this is good, but no, that's bad. Like, whoa, all right, let's
Yeah.
think it through because like Bob said, it's variation, shades of gray, Does it
Yeah.
make you comfortable to believe that this is safe, but that isn't?
Right.
Does it make you comfortable to believe that my Bible says that I can't truck with any of this stuff? So if you're doing it, like what is
Yeah.
it that makes you comfortable? And let me ask you the same question 10 years from now. And is your answer the same? If
Right.
it's the exact same, you're probably not thinking, you're probably just reacting because,
Well, you know what gets me about all that? And I am, and this is no disrespect to anybody.
yeah.
I don't judge anybody. This is just my personal opinion and my personal belief for myself. But I'm a non-practicing Catholic. I became
Mhm.
Catholic at a later age. I had a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And I never really got any answers. It was always like, oh, your faith, your faith, your faith. And that's hard for somebody that has been brought up in a real, like a scientific type of a world. Like it was, my grandmother was Catholic and she went to church so I knew I wasn't uneducated with biblical and, God and all that, this and that. But I found it harder to have that belief in faith
Mhm.
than people that were just born into it and, CDC, and then they, got their, communion, went to Bible school and this and that. I don't even know where I'm going with that. It's my 80 days. See? Where the hell was I going with that? Oh, but here's the thing I always say all the time, okay, if you can believe that God would come to people in dreams, or God would, show people things, to help him serve him and do things, certain things. If you believe Jesus rose after he was dead, how, and you believe in the Catholic religion, they believe in demons.
Mm.
Well, if you do that, then you have to believe there's another side to that. There's no yin or yang. There's no yin without yang.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very interesting paradox that does sometimes come up, and I often enjoy having conversations with people with religious beliefs. Hi, Lourdes.
Hi. Oh, we love her.
I do too.
Because if it to look at stories from the Bible or stories from religions, there was a phrase. I don't know if my friend Chris came up with it, but I remember it was one that we would muse upon back in the day. That why would there be miracles and prophets and people inspired by God back then, but not today? Like, why would it just stop? So, some of the stuff that we
Because look how shitty people are today. You think we deserve miracles?
Oh.
Honestly, people are getting I said, I'm building an ark already. I'm outside and I'm building an ark. Because,
yeah, it's nuts.
I will say that I believe that I had a miracle happen, and I believe it in my heart, whether anybody else believes it or not, but in my heart, I'll try to make it a very quick story.
Mhm.
Zeus before he passed away, Zeus, like 4 years prior, one night got out. He's a black cat, and this was 9 o'clock at night. And I was freaking out. You would have thought that I had a human child go disappearing from my house.
Sure.
I was freaking out. So, anyways, 45 minutes go by. We find him, bring him in, and I go to touch him, and he hissed and bit me. Now,
Oh,
let me tell you something about me and Zeus. Me and Zeus have been together in our lives, if there's such thing as past lives, every single life. He is my fur baby soulmate, like so affectionate, like a person. He was a cat, a dog, a human, all mixed into one. He was special.
sure.
So for him to do that to me, I was like, are you sure this is Zeus?
Yeah.
And so we took him, we went that night to Marlton Animal Hospital, got him microchipped. He sure enough was mine. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? Take him to the vet. Something was wrong with his foot, his leg. So he does x-rays. He calls me in. Now, mind you, at this time, Zeus is, I think, 9. So he's been his vet since he was a baby. So 9 years, right? So he comes out, he's got like a little bit of tears in his eyes. And I'm like, what's wrong? He's like, I want you to come in here. Right? So I'm like, what the fuck? Like, so he shows me these x-rays and he's putting them out and he goes, I want you to know that this is cancer.
Mm.
And I literally couldn't breathe for like 5 minutes. And I'm like, and he goes, are you okay? He's upset too because he loves Zeus, right? He's a lover. So he goes, it is going, and I could see it, the mass. I could see it with my eyes. It was going through his bone in his leg. So he said, the best case scenario out of this situation is Zeus will lose his leg. That's the best case.
Mm.
And he's like, he'll be fine. Cats are resilient. They can live with 3 legs. There's nothing past that. Like, then it goes backwards. Worst case scenario is if this is as aggressive as I'm believing it is, we're going to have to put him down.
Mm.
So my life was like crumbling. So he says, I want to take a sample of something and I'm going to send these x-rays to a specialist. It took 3 weeks to get an answer. Can I tell you the torment, right? Yeah. However, in those 3 weeks, Zeus knew something was wrong. You know how animals feed off of us, right?
Sure.
So Zeus knew something was wrong. And he was definitely pulling back from me. So he wasn't his cuddly self. However, I would lay as close as I could to him. And every night I would put his paw at a distance. Like my arm was like out like this. Because if I got closer, he'd back away from me. So he was definitely acting like he was going to die any day.
Yeah.
Right? So I put his paw in my hand and we said the St. Francis prayer every night. I closed my eyes and I'm telling you, I could feel it in the pit of my stomach with every word. I was praying so fucking hard that it hurt my stomach.
Mm-mm.
Every night for those 3 weeks. Finally, I get a call. It's my vet. And I'm like thinking, okay, I'm thinking, all right, he hooked me up. We're just going to have to cut his leg off. It's cool. He'll be fine.
Sure.
Right? That's what I'm thinking because of the praying and everything. And then he says, are you sitting down? And I'm like, okay, this might not be good. So I sat down. And he's like, in 35 years of practicing medicine, I've never seen this ever. I said, what? He's like, he has osteomyelitis. I said, what? He's like, yes, it's an infection. There's no cancer.
Oh.
There is an infection in his bone, and he's going to just need 3 weeks of antibiotics, and he's going to be fine.
What?
He goes, so that I am not insane. You saw the same thing I did, right? And I said, I did see it. I saw it. I took pictures of it. I have it. It was a solid mass. I'm in the medical field, so I know what it looks like. You know, human, animal, cancer is cancer.
Correct.
you know? So
Sure.
I literally started crying so hard. And from that moment on, I was like, I believe in the saints. Like, I believe that prayer
Oh,
and saints, like, that was a miracle, a miracle.
yes.
He was
Yes.
totally fine. And the
That's
only
Wow.
reason
unbelievable.
he was being so grumpy and an ass is because he was in pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
But I do believe in miracles because of that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was definitely a very, very powerful experience. So I don't know where we were going with that.
Well,
Anyway,
yeah, we definitely believe. I know Michael believes he's experienced some things of his own, which he may or may not wish to disclose, but you definitely believe in miracles and
Yeah. Interestingly, yeah, no one knew that they were going to get this when they tuned into
I know.
Paranormal Brew
Well, we
tonight.
didn't know where it was going to go either, right?
Right. Yeah.
We will get to. I do want you guys to talk about yourselves and tell everybody where to,
Sure.
everything you guys do. But this is a good combo. So
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, so yeah, I was in my 20s, and I was a church going guy, but I was also starting to, explore psychic phenomena and ghosts and all that kind of stuff. So I was weaving everything together in my worldview, and I had a couple friends who were going through some things, and I was really concerned. So I uh, I was doing. I spent an evening doing some intense prayer with like incense and candles and all this kind of stuff. And so at the time, for those who wear glasses, there's that awkwardness a year or two after you get a prescription where your eyes are starting to get worse, but you haven't gone back to get the next stronger correction. So yeah, at the time, I'd been a while between uh, eye doctor visits, and I couldn't see everything perfectly from a distance. So got done with this prayer session for my friends, and went downstairs, and from across the room I could see the TV in sharp focus. So my eyesight improved after that prayer session, and it didn't get worse right away. So
wow,
like it something miraculous happened, and I interpreted it as a sign that we should be caring for people and using our soul energy, which is what I consider prayer to be. A Reiki person, sending divine energy to
yeah,
people remotely. It's all related. So that was my interpretation, that let's do more of this because it works, and because when you give of yourself, and you give of your own belief and energy resources to try and improve someone else's life circumstance, that's like one of the best things you can do here in life. So
absolutely. And you guys definitely are amazing. I was very blessed to be able to sit down with you two for a while, and it I can't even describe, first of all, the feeling. It was a very calming, soothing, comfortable. Even though this was at the bash, right?
Yes. Yes.
Everybody's running around like idiots, and I say that lovingly because I was one of them. But right, and we sat at a table in the lobby,
we
and
did. Yep.
there was a million people going by, our friends, and people are laughing and joking and woohooing, and it was like I was just with you guys. So it was definitely a very good experience for me. And if anybody ever has a chance to have a reading by the two of them, I mean, please. It was very touching. It was a different reading that I've ever got, because it definitely, you reached in and you were like, yeah, I feel this and I know this. And nobody's ever really gotten there.
One of the reasons I think it was such a powerful reading is because you are someone who is so giving of yourself. Like, I don't I'm surprised you probably sleep 9 hours a night, because you should, because you give so much, all of your energy, your attention, your caring, your thought, like you should just fall down exhausted at the end of the day, because you're such a giver. And people like you, who rarely even ask for things for themselves, are oftentimes the most deserving of getting that healing that they need. So, I think that, we feel like we walk away from probably 99.9% of readings, unless someone's blocking, because we've done some where people are actively blocking us because they want the reading, but they don't want to believe.
Right.
So that 0.1% we can't do much for, because they're not ready. But for the other 99.9%, we feel we walk away from a reading feeling like, wow, that was really good. That really felt right, And then every once in a while we get that one like you that just it's even larger, because it's this exchange that's, that goes really deep.
And it felt like it was so meant to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I
Just
mean?
guided. It's guided.
And it was and normally, and like I said, I'm a hard person for people to do Reiki on. I'm a hard person for people to get there, So the fact that was, and I felt like the anxiety was not there, my brain was kind of slowing down a little bit, and it felt good. So I was like, okay, I can do this. And I don't know what the hell you guys did, but it worked.
One of the things I like to point out too is that, it's a blessing for us to do this together, and it's a blessing for us to do
Yes.
this for people. And, by the fact that sometimes in the days leading up to an event where there's a reading, or even just a reading that people reach out to us for, sometimes they'll start to have signs happen. And sometimes on our end, we'll start to have signs happen, so that during a reading, all of a sudden it's like, oh, this and oh, that. So, again, it's that, I think it goes back to that aspect that there's more to all of this than we sometimes understand or dwell upon. And, when someone takes the chance to say, God, universe, angels, messengers, guides, like, talk to me. How can I do more? How can I heal? How can I be a better version of myself? That takes a lot. And so I believe that under the best circumstances, those occasions can really be blessings, and can amplify and help to course correct certain things, or maybe affirm changes that someone is already making. And that feeling that you're on the right path, that's a great thing when it comes through
it is.
your every fiber.
And I think, and I'm gonna say this because honestly, like, the things that we talked about, like, I don't talk about with anybody. You know what I mean? So they were very personal things, and very personal. So the fact that, Roz, you knew before anything was said what I went through, because you went through it. So just by the things that I was saying and how I was, just kind of like being, you go, I know what you've been through, because I've been there, and you remind me of myself. That was a 1000% comforting right off the bat.
Oh, that's great.
Because then I was like, okay, so then I don't have to explain myself so much. I can just say something and they understand.
Yeah.
And that's the word that you used that made me think about it, because you said understanding, and that's what you need. Because the understanding brings the comfort.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I agree with you.
No matter what, like, you're telling somebody a story who's never experienced things that you have ever experienced, and it's a bad thing,
Yeah.
You still think that, even they could be your best friend in the world, but you still think that they're like, they have no idea, they really don't know unless they've lived it.
Yes.
And that's the big thing.
Yeah. And that's the thing you talked about earlier, about how, how crazy the world is right now and the things that we collectively are going through. And, it can shake your faith, but, you know, some things happen that are horrible and we can't explain it. And you just wish to God they hadn't happened. But some of the things that are these challenges, if you look down the road and you're like, all right, I went through these things, but now I can use my experiences, my knowledge, my being 10 miles further down the road beyond these things that have happened to maybe help somebody else, it, it at least you can make some good out of some of these crazy things. So you got to wonder 10 years down the road, will we look at some of what's going on in the world right now and say, were these things that were meant to harden and test our metal and firm us up
Right.
and have us ready for the next things that are going to come that we don't even know about yet? It's
Right.
very possible. But
Absolutely.
yeah, that was at Gettysburg Battlefield Bash in Gettysburg last
Well,
year. So
So since we did this backwards,
yeah.
tell everybody what it is, the area that you guys kind of tend to
Sure.
practice in, and tell us a little bit about yourselves and how long
Okay.
you've been around. Roz has been, I mean, like forever, and we were in the same group together, so
Yes.
but separate times, and
Yes.
but just and how you guys come. You guys are totally like just so meant to.
I know, it's crazy. Anybody out there that's single and thinks, I'm over it. It's done. My best years are behind me. We each met our soulmate in our 40s. So
So were you guys? So I have a question about that.
yeah.
Specifically, like the relationship part of it. So were you guys already into the paranormal and then you met that way?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So,
We
see,
each were separately into the paranormal.
now prior to that, you had
Mhm.
relationships while in the paranormal where the others were not into the paranormal.
My ex-husband, was pretty mocking about it, honestly. He believed, I think, to an extent in the things, but for whatever reason, he was kind of dismissive and liked to poke fun. Like he wasn't nasty, but
Right.
it wasn't respectful or supportive in the way that,
We need
you
people to
would like,
yeah.
because this is at the end, regardless of how you approach the paranormal, whether you're a paranormal thrill seeker, whether you're somebody who just wants to go and, send all the trapped spirits home. I mean, whatever your approach is, or you just want to go out and have some fun exploring stuff. At the end of the day, we're dealing with honestly one of the most sacred and difficult topics, which is, what happens to us when we die,
Right.
and are the people that we loved who are now gone still connected with us. So,
Right.
you shouldn't be like overly flippant is my point, especially if, your partner or your spouse is really dedicated to it. So yeah, that was my experience. And
So
Michael.
both of you being into the paranormal and then being together definitely has to be one of those huge weights that you didn't want there, but was there, and now it's like not there. So I'm sure. And then
Well, it gets even better
I mean, even to share
because
a passion together, you know what I
yes.
mean? It keeps it passionate, I think.
And the fact that we do readings together. So people who aren't familiar
Yeah.
with us, we do card readings, angel oracle card readings. And we call it one mindset, two perspectives, because if you sit down for a reading with us, we'll flip. Usually we start with 3 cards. We'll pull 3 cards that we're guided to pull for you, flip them over one at a time, and each of us will give our input and perspective on that card. Usually they're similar. Sometimes the other one is like, well, what I'm getting in addition to that is, so it's really good because working together, we balance in a way that you really are getting a fuller reading, in our opinion.
It was amazing. I've had people do that, like use tarot
Yeah.
cards or use oracle angel cards. I apologize, I don't know the difference between
It's
them.
okay.
But nobody's ever, and I'm honest. You know me. I'm nice, but I'm
Yeah.
nice about it. I'm not trying to be mean, but I'll tell someone like, I don't
Yeah.
not feeling it. But I can't. I don't know what happened that day.
It was
an
meant to
experience. That
happen.
is an experience that I've had
Yeah.
that I never had prior, and I haven't had since.
Oh, that's
You know,
amazing.
so But go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm just saying
Oh
that.
no, we love that. And that's funny because that's actually how we will start our reading when someone sits down to us. One of the first things we tell them is,
don't try and make it fit.
Yeah, don't try to make it
we're
fit.
not here for you to say, "Oh, you're so smart. That was amazing," and you were accurate. And if it wasn't, that didn't help.
Yeah,
So
it's not about our ego.
We want someone who is looking for a message or affirmation or information to have a chance to receive that. So
yeah.
sometimes.
And when I sat down, do I keep cutting you off, Mike? I'm
No.
very sorry if I do.
Oh no, this is flowing.
No.
We love
My
this.
ADD is like through the roof right now. But anyway, when I and please let me finish before having any feeling to what I'm about to say, because it's not a bad thing at all. In my eyes, not a bad thing. So prior to sitting down with you guys, yes, I knew you guys, right? But I never can you see me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, there we are. My screen keeps going black for some reason and coming back on. But I never heard that you guys did that. And not that I know I heard things about people going to you guys and like you guys making them feel better, but I never really got the details of what it was that you guys did. So when I sat down, I had an unbiased opinion about anything. Like nobody's ever, so nothing was ever planted. No seeds were planted. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what I was doing. To be honest with you, I didn't know you were going to do cards. I had no idea. So when I sat down and then you guys pulled the cards, I was like, okay, still didn't know because I don't know anything about the difference between cards and I don't know what kind of cards are what, or I'm not educated in that area. So I was totally, my mind was blank, which I think is another reason why it was so helpful for me on that level. And I think I needed that because I need to really experience something real to believe it.
Yes, it's so important, to not go to someone hoping that they just parrot what you already want to hear.
Right.
And there are unethical people, not people I've met at our conventions, but the first psychic I ever went to, I was, probably 20, 21 years old. I was dating the wrong dude. I was down in Atlantic City with my friend and we were on the boardwalk and it was one of those boardwalk psychics with the fluorescent sign. And
yeah,
I went in there and she's like, oh, I'll pull some cards and do you have any question? I was like, yes. Does my boyfriend really love me? And she gives me this little reading, which felt at the time, it sounded good. She was telling me what I wanted to hear. But then she's like, so if you actually want this to work out, you can purchase this set of candles and it will blah, 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 blah. Like she just completely upsold me and wasn't even honest. She was just telling me what I wanted to hear. Oh, here's another person that wants to hear about a relationship. Let me give her some hope, but not too much. And then sell her a thing that will cement it. And I walked out, 21 with stars in my eyes about this boy, but walked out like, well, that was bogus. Never again. I learned a lesson. So yeah, if you walk away feeling icky, you walk away feeling like somebody just sold you something, like, yeah, that's not the way to, but unfortunately, some people, it's almost like they really want that reassurance so desperately that, they go to people from person to person to person until they hear what they want. And I will be the first to admit, I'm going to lean out of frame for a second because we have some cards with us. I'll be the first to admit that our favorite deck here is this Archangel Michael Doreen Virtue card. These are like, you can't get these anymore. They don't make them anymore. Unless you buy them used, but this is Hay House and Doreen Virtue, who has since left. Oh, you have the Michael cards? She insists. Oh, girl, are you kidding me? These are our absolute favorites.
Wait, this is bugging me out right now because
sisters, these are our favorites. These are the ones.
Listen, I got these. I have never used them, but I got their. I have them out, but I've never used them. And I got them because I feel very connected with St. Michael.
Yeah, me too.
And I know a lot of people do. Yeah. However, I don't know. I've had a couple of things. So anyways, he's tattooed on my back.
Wow.
I have him tattooed on my back. He's huge. He's like, I have his emblem on my neck.
Oh, that's amazing.
And then he's all the way down now. I told my tattoo guy to keep the demons off. I don't need them on there. So it's going like this.
Yeah.
But there's, you don't see anything underneath.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But I said, he's got my back. I got my front.
Oh, I love that.
And
Nice.
I love
that was
that.
my intention. But yes,
He's got your 6.
so this is why I got this.
Yeah.
But I've never used them. But so
That's
go ahead.
awesome. Yeah.
I can't believe it.
That is ridiculous. I had
I
no
don't
intention of
understand
doing
how
this.
we haven't been friends my entire life.
I know, right? It's ridiculous.
Sisters from
It's
another
ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, these are our favorite cards, and we have probably, I don't know, 24 decks. And if someone sits down for a reading with us, we let our intuition guide us to which deck to use. So we don't just, this is our favorite, this is what we use. But at home, 9 times out of 10, if I'm feeling stressed about something, if I'm that person that wants answers, and sometimes the guides aren't giving you that explicit answer, so I'll pull a card for myself or a series of 3 and hoping they'll just give me a yes no, and usually they're like, you're on the right path. I'm like, no, that's not what I wanted. And Michael laughs at me because sometimes if I don't just honor that, like, all right, that's the message I'm meant to have, is to just keep moving forward. I want to know the outcome. So I'll pull another 3 cards, and it's like they thwack me. Like they'll just give me different soft variations of the same messages instead of giving me that thing I'm desperately like hoping to hear. And those are when you have to sit back and go, okay, I've got to be at peace with, I'm not meant to know the outcome. I'm meant to keep moving forward and just face things along the way. And it's hard. It's hard, but it's so it does help to have a more open-minded mindset when you come in for a reading. Now, another thing we'll tell people also is, you don't have, like, we'll usually ask you, is there something you want us to focus on today? And Michael's always quick to tell them, you don't have to tell us what it is, because we're just the messengers. You sitting down with us is you setting that intention and you saying, yes, I want messages from my angels, my guides, my dead loved ones, the archangels. And we use these tools to help us narrow down and translate those messages. That's it. Yeah. So you can tell us what you want to know. You can say, I want a general reading. You can say, I have something in mind, but I don't want to disclose it. And we'll pull our cards and we'll work with the cards until you feel like you're getting the answer that makes sense. So yeah. We love it. We love it. We love helping people. And we believe in it. We use them for ourselves all the time.
Yeah, I know. And you can tell. Like, it's just, you guys are so like, I don't know, like you're just like so like I can't explain it. It's almost like it's like a protective zone or something. Like you feel like you can just let everything fall off and you're protected, and that's I guess that's the feeling I had. I know that sounds kooky and everybody's probably thinking I'm like weird, but I'm a very high strung person because of my ADHD. I'm always on the go. I'm anxiety, insomnia, like all that, right? It's just, so stepping into the space with you I was just like it felt like 1,000 bricks came off.
Wow. Thank you so much for saying that.
It's interesting that, you're taking me back to a time when, I was just getting to know Rosalyn, and the things that stuck out to me were that she had a strength, but she had a big heart, and that, I would always see her trying to lift people up. And I was like, wow, these are pretty impressive traits to start with. So I think, when someone has those things going for them, but then also that, again, that intention to be a medium, a conduit for divine messages and healing. I mean, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really quick, Indonesia as well.
Hi.
The Jing. She's from Indonesia. I don't know what time it is there. I think it's like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
She's a trooper. She is a brewski.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah,
Um,
I mean, so yeah, the paranormal did bring us together, and we both do have a background. We can give our brief backgrounds
yes,
in
please.
where we
I want
came
you guys
from,
to talk. Yes, absolutely. Please go.
but we'd
Oh no.
also,
Yeah.
if there's time after that, we'd love to see if there's questions. I know some questions had flown by, so we
Yeah,
could try
absolutely.
and
Listen,
interact.
this
Mhm.
is your show, my
Okay.
show. We can go as long as you guys need to go. You can say, Taryn, shut the F up. We're leaving, whatever, you know? So yeah, tell everybody how you guys got started, where you came from, how you guys fell in love.
Oh, soulmates. So my background in the paranormal. So people who might know me, if anyone knows me here, I might be known from I appeared on season 2. Technically, it was season 1.5, but most people call it season 2 of SyFy Channel's Ghost Hunters Academy. So that was a paranormal reality TV show competition. Because that makes sense. Let's compete about the paranormal. But it was a competition.
I watched it because it was tango and
Thank you. I did not. I watched the first episode because my friends made me, but I was like, I can't watch
I
this.
did
This
too,
is
Jopsy. I did
it
too.
was
I'm
so
guilty.
tough. It was so tough to watch, but no.
But no, here's
But
the thing. I watch it because I'm a very loyal person. Very, New Kids
yeah.
on the Block. Anything they do, I watch.
Oh yeah.
Separate from each other.
So anything Ghost Hunters is doing.
Yeah. So I was like, I loved it. I thought it was great. It was a
Yeah,
great
it was a good
show.
concept, and I think it was meant to be a more of a long-term vehicle for Steve, but for whatever reason, they only did 2 seasons. But yeah, so I did that with Jason Hawes and Steve Gonzalez and Dave Tango, and it was just when it was 2011, I believe, or 2010. It was just when Grant Wilson was leaving the show, but it hadn't been announced yet, so we didn't
Right.
know. And I was actually scouted. I I'm somebody who, I'm an introvert. I'm shy. I never like to even take my picture. I didn't like the sound of my voice. Like I'm not somebody who would look to be on TV. That just
Right.
wasn't who I was. And even when my paranormal group in New Jersey was being tapped by different TV shows would come into Philly and want to film here, want to film there. I've been in the background on other, the UK channels and different TV shows, but never someone who would step forward because that's not who I was. But basically, I was scouted by a talent agent who said, "Hey, we're doing season 2 of this show for SyFy. We think you'd be a good fit. We'd love you to audition." And at first, I just threw it right in the trash can. I said, "Come on." They probably emailed everybody in my group. They probably just found a ghost group and said, send one to him, send one to her. And then when I asked the other members of my team, it turned out I was the only one they had actually emailed. So I was like, all
That's
right, this
awesome.
is legit. I don't think it was honestly anything special. I think it was they were just trying to check their boxes. They wanted the Asian guy. They wanted the California girl with the purple hair. They wanted a black person. Like, that's honestly what I think. I don't think I was anything special.
You are too.
But
Definitely.
that's how people know me. And I didn't win. Adam Berry won. I lasted, I don't even remember now, 7 of the 8 episodes or 6. I can't remember. It's been that long, but
You know what though?
but
The experience was probably cool.
it was
You get to have that
life-changing.
experience.
It was life-changing. I would not be out here doing any of this paranormal entertainment, paranormal community, wouldn't have met my amazing husband. I would be still in my small box, living in New Jersey,
Still
doing
being an
ghost hunts
introvert.
every weekend, for free because that's what we did. We would go to private homes and help people. And
Yeah.
we were members of the ghost of the T.A.P.S family group. So if
Yeah.
you lived in New Jersey or Pennsylvania or northern Delaware and you reached out for help, we would come to your house and help you for free. So it was a passion thing.
Mhm.
But the reason I got started up to that point was back in 1999 is when I joined my first ghost group. Up until that point, I believed in ghosts, but it wasn't, again, this is before Ghost Hunters even had a show, is when I started this stuff.
Right.
So people didn't really know as much about ghosts. We weren't all armchair ghost hunters yet. And I just was somebody who had this crazy Ouija board summer when I was a teenager. But other than that, I hadn't really had ghost experiences. Now, I did have psychic experiences. I've had premonitions since I was a little girl. And it was something that my family did not encourage. They believed it, but they didn't really like to mess with it. I always say my Aunt Sharon would say, let the dead stay dead. And that seemed to be my family's attitude towards it. So that was kind of how I got interested in paranormal. Then I joined my group in 99 because I just saw a local Halloween story about this ghost group and went out and joined, and have been really passionate ever since. So yeah. So I went on and did I'm also a Reiki Master and healer, and I make crystal jewelry and healing jewelry, and I do these readings with my husband. Your background.
Yeah.
We wanted Michael. I went.
That was
Giuseppe.
That's
doing
great. I like that.
I'll see you on the patio at the Bash.
I love it.
We'll drink heartily, my friend.
You see, I got the name Miss Gettysburg. I'm either the mayor. I'm called the mayor or Miss Gettysburg. Either Mayor of Gettysburg or Miss Gettysburg.
You kind of embody a lot of what is
yeah.
about that gathering.
You bleed blue and gray.
That was poetic.
No, I did. There's the coordinates.
Oh,
perfect.
So yeah, when, like I said, I grew up as a church-going kid, and there wasn't really much paranormal in my early life. And then in my teenage years, my brother was good friends with a
He's in the chat.
Yes, my brother was good friends with a gentleman named John Jeff Unger, who ended up going through a lot of Chris DeCesare's haunting experiences with him, because he lived in the same dorm suite and then eventually became his roommate. So the spring that was happening in Geneseo, Jeff came home and told.
You know, I never knew there was anybody else that had that was, would be able to contest a test.
A test, yeah. Jeff had grown up wanting to experience these things, but he had a strong element of proof. Like, he was trying to apply the scientific method. Like, let's put this and check for temperatures and let's research and try and find things out. So, and he wrote notes that then have helped, Chris to, document things and to, speak more authoritatively on experiences from, the late 80s. And
then he brought your brother Alan into it.
Right. So then Alan, went there and started investigating things and became good friends with better friends with Jeff and good friends with Chris. And I was this, 14-year-old or 13-year-old and I'm hearing about all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of interesting. These guys, all seem to believe that there's this ghost thing going on. So, fast forward some years and a bunch of us were not going out to do investigations, but kind of talking about everything from religion and philosophy to ESP and trying to figure out how to, if any of that could be used to improve our lives and to, make us better people. So then fast forward about.
Those conversations are the reason I started Paranormal Brew.
Oh, that's awesome.
Boom.
So I love those conversations.
Perfect.
So yeah, I was going out to some of these paranormal events, these cons. As can I swear in here? Can I say?
Yeah.
You say whatever you want.
I was Chris DeCesare's booth bitch. I'd man the booth, and he'd get up to speak, and I'd be selling merch, and oh, he'll sign that for you when he gets back.
Oh, that's great.
And yeah, then Roz was at those events.
I love you, buddy.
And we actually first met. Chris was having a documentary that he was creating, and he asked me to be one of the paranormal, talking heads to sort of give their input on the topic of the documentary. And Michael was there as a PA, as one of the production assistants. So, I drove up from South Jersey because we lived the whole time we dated. We lived almost 3 hours apart. Right now we live up here in the Hudson Valley of
Where
New
are you
York.
from in Jersey?
I grew up in Deptford.
Dude, I'm like
Yeah,
5
I'm a
minutes
Deptford
away
girl.
from
Oh,
Deptford.
I didn't know you lived in Deptford. I thought you were in
No,
PA.
I'm in Mount Ephraim, but Mount Ephraim's
Oh, yeah.
Deptford is 5 minutes away.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. We
What the
probably
heck?
met back in the day because my first job was at Deptford McDonald's.
Oh, I'm
And
always at McDonald's. I love McDonald's.
girl, the people would be
Anybody
out
that knows
there
me.
riding their muscle cars out there every Friday, Saturday
Oh my
night, and I
gosh.
was in there
We have
working. Yeah.
probably like
A lot of
crossed paths
crossover.
somewhere.
I didn't know you were from down there. That's so
Yes,
funny.
that
What
is
the
Yeah.
fun.
heck are the odds?
See, that's why we get along so well. We understand each other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We speak Deptford. We
Yeah.
speak South Jersey.
They
But
speak
yeah.
South Jersey.
So we were living like 2 hours, 40 minutes apart. And I would
Michael,
drove
were you
down
in Jersey?
from
Was he in Jersey too?
Michael was in right now we live in Walden, New York. It's near so let me just pick a bone with you, miss. When you
Yes.
guys came up to the Stanley Hotel and you came to Pine Bush, we live like
Shanley,
6
yeah.
miles from Pine Bush. Michael was
I
there
had,
today with a client. It's so funny.
I had no idea.
You guys are like
Yeah.
literally in our neighborhood.
Like, wow.
Like
They're 8.5
I
minutes
drove
away.
myself. I would have came and hung out with you guys for a little
Heck
bit.
yeah.
I had
That's
no
so
idea.
funny. It's okay. I know how it is.
Well,
It's
the
like,
next that's not going to be the only time we're up there. So,
yeah, if you
it's
do it again, let me
Hinsdale.
know.
We're definitely doing Hinsdale again. And so if we're up in
Oh yeah.
even Hinsdale, that wasn't a far drive for us.
Yeah, I've done Hinsdale. But yeah, so you know the distance then from Pine Bush down to Mount Ephraim is our distance when we were dating. So I drove up from there to do this documentary. I drove all the way up. I get to the filming location in Wappingers Falls, New York. And you know, I really had to use the bathroom. Like I had just driven almost 3 hours. So here's this nice PA comes out to help me. Hello, Miss Lou or Miss Bound,
Miss
Rosalyn Bound. Would you like me to park your car? Da, 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 da. And I was like, yes, help. Here, take the keys. I'm the talent. No,
Oh, yeah.
no, I just had to pee so
You wanna go to
bad.
the
I don't
second
remember meeting
floor
him.
Yeah.
So the
She's like,
first time we met, I don't remember. I remember
doesn't
some
remember.
dude like backed my car into a parking spot. And that's not a euphemism, by the way. So
back it up. Back it up.
so that's how we
Wait a
met.
second. Why didn't I think of that? I'm usually the one thinking those
I know.
things. Huh?
I
Yeah.
know. She's like, oh, this is a charming story. And I'm like, back it up.
I know. I apologize to all of you. But yeah, so had it not been for the paranormal field, had it not been for Ghost Hunters Academy, had it not been for Chris DeCesare bringing us together, because Chris and I met in Gettysburg years before that, maybe a year or two before that, we met at Phenomenology. So a mutual friend of ours came and introduced me and said, oh, I think you guys need to meet. And then that led to me meeting Michael. So, you know, the paranormal has been, you know, I don't eat, drink, and breathe it like I did at one point. It's gotten more from that to just this whole spirituality that sort of runs through our lives. I mean, we have affirmations all the time. We get guidance from the other side. We see signs. I kid you not, there were footprints in our house a few months ago that were not there before that just popped up. So we occasionally will have more of a ghost thing. But generally it's not as overt as the old, oh, thank you, as go ghost hunting every weekend and, you know, review evidence every morning type thing. But we're still very much in it, very passionate. And yeah, paranormal brought us together and continues. Oh, I love you too. I love you too, Chris. The paranormal enhances our lives every day.
Very much.
Yeah, and that's got, like I said, that's got to be just something when two people have a passion about something,
Yeah,
it ignites your passion anyway. You know what I mean? Like
it does. It does.
to be able to sit down and just have these like, because anytime, let's be honest, anytime you sit down and you have a conversation with a group or whoever, and we talk paranormal, the conversation could go on forever and everybody's so into it. You know, everybody's just love talk. So to have that person, you know, to be able to just go, hey, blah, blah, blah. And then you guys are, all right, crack here. Let's talk about this. What's going on?
Totally get it.
And it's like an instant multiplier.
Yes.
Because like you were saying,
really is.
You may have a thought like, did something happen? And then you're like, okay, I got to wait to talk to someone about it. But when you're living with someone with the same beliefs, then it's like, whoosh, instantly you're connecting and vibing.
Yeah. even look, this is what I said earlier. Hold on, I just want to say this, and I
Mhm.
keep doing it. I keep doing it. Poor Mike, poor man, bitch. I said, I go, Mike, am I cutting you off? It's not personal.
No,
It's the balance. This is
Giuseppe
the
just wants
balance.
to. He just likes to stir it up.
He does.
Again,
He's-
you know he's going to be on that patio every night of the bash.
yeah,
So,
last man standing.
yeah, he'll be out there. You can find him, Taryn.
I'm usually the last man. I'm all over the place. So I'm like, you can't stop. I said I could never vend at any of these events. I couldn't do it.
You know, we vend. It doesn't drain us, but yeah, you're right. You have to be up the next morning and then, you know, at your table
But
and
I'm a
fresh.
social butterfly. Like I am
Yes.
all over. I tried last year. BB3 TV and Paranormal Brew had a table.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, I had shirts out. I had my thing. Not once did I sit at that damn table.
You know, I've done that. I've left my stuff and always thought, well, the angels will watch it. You know, it won't get stolen.
I trusted everybody there. I
did that everywhere. I did that at Scarefest in Kentucky. That thing was huge. And I just left my stuff and walked around and took video and had fun. But yeah, I love it. It's tough. And honestly, I used to do so many events. I would barely be home on weekends because I mean, most of what I was doing was in the Midwest. I was out in Indiana, Ohio, Illinois. I did Vegas. We did events in Kentucky.
Was it because of the show? Was it because of the show you were out that way?
It was after the show. And yeah, that sort of gives you the entree to getting booked. But you know, I was using these opportunities to really start to build my brand and define, because number one, that show was not good for me. It did not leave people necessarily with a positive impression of me because of the way it was edited. Which is unfortunate, but yeah, it was, they Franken edited.
I disagree.
So really, I've never watched it, but I know that we did. So when I was on the show, we investigated. The first one was Waverly Hills in Louisville, Kentucky. So we spent 2 weeks and we would live for 2 weeks at each of these locations. So we did 2 weeks in Kentucky. Then we drove over to West Virginia. We did Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum in Weston, West Virginia. Then we drove all the way up to Connecticut and we did 2 weeks at the Mark Twain House in Connecticut. And then we drove down to Fort Delaware, there in Delaware, Peapatch Island. And we did that investigation there. And that was where I got booted off the show. They just voted me off. But the funny thing is, you know, the Mark Twain House 2 weeks before, I had put Babe Michael in the corner. I had an amazing.
You got my back, Giuseppe.
I had who drove. So my friend Adam Williams actually drove. So it's funny. They show us in this RV. Like if you haven't seen the show again, I get it. I didn't see it. But we drove around in an RV. And the RV was only for TV because it actually wasn't really street legal for passengers, because the way they modified it in the back to put like benches for us to sit on and then cut the big hole in the wall for the camera. So Steve and Tango would drive us the last like 2 miles to the location in the RV, not street legal. And then just so that they could film us like arriving at the place. But driving from place to place, we just had a 15 passenger van. And my friend Adam Williams, who lives out in California, he was he was our production coordinator. He actually drove our vehicle. But yeah, we just drove around. But yeah, I had this amazing episode in Connecticut at the Mark Twain House. Everything went beautifully. There was no drama. I smelled like a rose. And then we get down to Delaware, and all of a sudden they decided they wanted to get rid of me. And the funny thing is, I went from smelling like a rose in Connecticut to Steve, Tango, and Jason dressing in the same clothes they wore at the Connecticut deliberation scene. Like in the RV, they get in the RV and they, you know, who was good and who sucked. They dressed in those clothes again to refilm the scene. So it was like they wanted to arrive at the conclusion that they had come to at that point. So things had changed, but they refilmed that scene and then made it seem like it was, you know, had just happened. So it was disappointing. Again, I didn't watch it. It's disappointing the way they did it. You know, I met a woman in Vegas at a show and she was like, wow, you're so nice. You seem like such a bitch on TV. And I was like, no.
Yeah, that's really, you know what? That's so funny because at least I was told it was going to happen, so I had the opportunity to decline.
Yeah. Good for that show?
So
Woo!
not that show.
Okay, another one.
So when I was with the group that we were with, I'm not going to mention, and I
Yeah.
was at a store that I'm not going to mention.
Mhm, mhm.
Um,
Ooh,
there,
that store was infested.
oh, ugh. So,
It needed a good cleansing.
ugh. Um,
I've seen some shit. I'll leave it
mm,
at that.
oh, me too, and that's why I am like. That's why I say I am
Oh
Casper, and at the most Slimer. That's
my
it. That's as far as I go. Anything else, I'm calling
god.
somebody. I'm calling somebody.
Oh my
If it goes
gosh.
past that. But um,
Oh.
so we were there, and then he goes, the person that owned it, and the director of our group. There's a production company coming, and I'm only allowed to pick. It was either 10 or 15 people. I can't
Yeah.
remember to be in the show. Now, I had a boyfriend at the time who was not a part of our group. He
Yeah.
wanted him to be really bad.
Yeah.
But he was not, but he was there. So he picked him as one of the people for some reason. But anyways,
Mm,
they go through everything. We filmed twice, 2 different times. We filmed like they came out and in the store they filmed and they were talking to us. So they said to me, "Okay, well, we'll get you into the paranormal." And I started to say, and they go, "No, you got to be more excited." I'm like, "What?" They're like, you got to be like excited about, be expressive. And I'm like, "Okay." So like, so I got into the part because I don't know how to be any other way.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
was very difficult for me to act because I don't know how to act.
Me neither.
I'm me.
I'm the worst actress.
So they were like, "Okay, we can work on it." I'm like,
Yeah.
"All
Mm,
right." So then they come out and we go to a location this time. I honestly do not remember where it was at. I do have a picture of us there, but I
yeah.
can't remember where it was. I was like an abandoned, I feel like it was an abandoned place. We were getting pictures, they were doing interviews. And they go, they go, "All right, so this is what we're thinking. So since your boyfriend's like a part of it, you guys, we're gonna film." So the idea behind the show was they were gonna film a show about the store,
Mhm. I remember
and
that.
and we
Mhm.
worked at the store, and there were other people there, but I was going to cheat on my boyfriend.
Oh.
I mean, cheat on my boy. Like they
Mm,
weren't gonna show anything, but that was gonna be the
the
premise of it.
The drama.
storyline.
I was like, "Oh, so you want America to hate me,
Mm,
right?"
villain. Instant
Like
villain.
instant, and I go,
Mhm.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
Mm.
You know,
I'm not
it
going there.
it frustrates me that, these reality shows do that because if you pitch yourself as, entertainment, that's one thing, but they
Right,
make it seem like it's real.
right.
And to the point that, after my show was over, after I got number one, it sucked that we we had to film through Easter and I had a 6-year-old at home and that really upset me that I was working instead of being at home. We went home the day after Easter. So that kind of bummed me out. But, I signed up for it, whatever. Well, then they sent me home, but that same day they actually were going on a 2-week hiatus. So during that hiatus, they actually contacted me and they're like, "Hey, we want to bring you out to LA just for a day. And we want to film like some secondary shots, some reactions, just redo some, have you like explain things a little more. And, if it goes really well, maybe we'll put you back on the show." So they used that as a lure to get me to cooperate because I really didn't feel like I had a fair shake. I didn't.
Mhm.
Listen, I'm glad I lost. I will be very honest. This isn't
Yeah,
sour grapes. I'm glad I lost because I got the benefits of having done the show without having to dance to somebody else's tune.
right.
So it worked out for me in the end. I'm not crying. But in the moment when I put so much into this, I left my little boy at home. I, really was hoping that this would work out so I could support my family doing what I love.
Right.
It was very painful. So I fly out to LA during this Easter hiatus and they fly me out, fly me back on a red eye. I film, for, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 hours with them. And during that time, they were like saying things like, they asked me questions, they had me elucidate, da da da. These are things they then spliced in afterwards because I could tell because my hair was different. Because my hair got so damaged when I was on the road that,
Oh,
I had to cut it when I got home. So it's like very different. You can see it looks different from shot to shot, but whatever. So then afterwards, they were like, okay, just one more thing. We got to do this. We want you to say, what was that? I'm like, really? What was that? Did you hear that? Like that thing they always do. They made me
yeah.
say that, or they encouraged me. They didn't force
Right.
me.
Right.
Dangling the lure of, hey, if things go well, maybe we'll put you back in. And so I didn't watch the show, but I sit here and wonder, where did they splice that in? Like, did they have me reacting to things that weren't there? What was that? Did you hear
Right.
that?
Right.
But I'm
Right.
such a bad actress. I doubt that they would use it.
I couldn't do it.
I
They kept
can't
on.
act. I can't act.
Every time they asked me a question,
Yeah.
and I don't even think it was the same. I don't know who it was that was there.
Yeah.
I mean, I do know who it was, but I'm not going to say. But like, they're there, and they're just like, every time they ask me something, I would answer. And
Yeah.
I am an expressive person to begin with. I talk with my hands. I'm Italian, so it's like, I'm always
Sure.
very expressive.
Yeah.
And they were like, you got to be more excited, or you have to be more, and I'm like, I am giving you what I got.
Yeah.
I was like, my
Yeah.
grandmother will come over here right now and smack you across your face. You're like, wait,
Oh, yeah.
Italian,
Yeah.
like, how more expressive can you get?
And I get it. They're filming a show. So yes, it's just like sitting here doing this interview, I'm not going to slouch in my chair and be casual. I'm going to sit up and make sure I'm speaking more clearly. And, maybe you turn your energy up, from 6 to like 8, because you're projecting, you're realizing there's an audience, there's people we want to hear us and understand. So I get that. Just they want you to amp it. That's one thing, but that's not what it seems like they were asking you to do. And
it was
honestly, that was
exhausting.
not my experience.
Plus, setting you up for a fall.
Oh my gosh, it sucks so badly.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, I will say that people talk about, ghost hunters and things, they feel things have been faked. I never saw anything faked. Like what we did was real. We actually investigated. Now we might be there a couple days actively investigating versus, the overnight that you see, but that's typical. But we actually investigated. We actually did evidence review, not in the RV. We did it in a hotel. We didn't live in the RV. We had hotel rooms for 2 weeks at a time. But yeah, so we actually investigated. But what I thought was a misstep that they might have made is, in each episode, they would make an effort to trick us. Like, hey, let's put Tango in a soldier suit and have him walk on the ramparts of the Delaware or
To
whatever.
see if you could tell
And
the
pretend,
difference.
yeah, and let's blow smoke out into the lunatic asylum and see if they react to smoke. What they don't show you is the people that ran the asylum smoked like a chimney. Like we spent all day in the offices where they were chain smoking indoors. Like to smell smoke was not atypical, but they want you to react. But what I thought was, well, it just seems silly to me. Like, why show us how well you can fake something?
Right.
You know what I mean?
A show that's supposed to be about legitimate
the reality.
phenomena. So
that I thought was a bad thing.
It's an academy type thing. Well, you went to the same group I went to.
Academy.
I mean, you went to the same group I went to.
Yeah, but isn't it funny that
Yeah, but
I was a grown-ass woman in an academy who'd been ghost hunting for over 10 years, who was assistant director of one of their T.A.P.S family groups, who had a child older than some of the cadets. But anyway, you were saying.
Well, I was saying, like, I remember,
so
starting with the group. We started 3 months of that. I mean, he was the same way. Testing.
Yes, everything was a test. But we were trained. We were very well trained in that group.
I agree with you.
We learned a lot.
I say this all the time, and everybody knows I'm not going to be. This isn't to make anybody uncomfortable. Everybody knows my disdain for Dave Giuliano. It's not a secret, and I'm not afraid to say it. But I always say that I am very thankful because when he taught me, he was on point.
Yes, we were taught very well. And another thing Well, I also love that we learned in our group that, you know, some groups like say they take a scientific approach to everything. Number one, none of the tools we're using were made for ghost hunting. We are
Right.
adapting tools for other technology to maybe fit what we think will, you know, capture evidence of ghosts. But in our group, we also equally acknowledged and respected the metaphysical, the psychic impressions were just as important as an EVP or a temperature change.
Right.
And then when they happen at the same time, then we're like, yeah, these things are bolstering each other as far as being evidence. So yeah, it really helped to be a group that wasn't condescending or closed-minded towards psychic experiences being a valid, because guess what? Most times you go to help somebody in a private home who's saying, I'm having ghost activity. They're not saying, hey, I got a 0.2 milligauss drop on my EMF meter. They're saying, I felt this, I saw this, I smelled this, I heard this. So to discount your personal impressions is kind of foolish. And, you know, I had that conversation. Actually, we were on the RV driving from one location to another, and I was talking to Dave Tango about that. And he, you know, I told him that usually when we would do an investigation, only the team lead would have any awareness of the claims of the homeowners. Because now you're going in unbiased. And he's like, oh, yeah. So now you guys are a tool as well. And he's like, yes, we are unbiased. We come in clean slate. If it's the first investigation, what you get is what you're getting authentically.
And that's how we ran when we were training. And then when I started with my group and we trained for 3 months, I mean, that was it. There was one or two people that knew what was going on in the house.
Yes.
And that's how we chose who was going to go. I mean, I made it very clear back then. I make it clear now. Like I said earlier, Casper, I don't want anything. It could be I said, I don't want anything that's a pinkish hue flag coming my way. Like I'll green, I may yellow it, and yellow to me is Slimer, but I'm not going anything past that.
And see, I was part of the subset of our group that did deal with the dark cases, the negative cases.
I love you guys. I was like, you're fucking badass. They're warriors. Like,
it's a calling, and I'll tell you, I was psychically attacked in my own home. I'd have visitations when we were dealing with some dark cases, you know, and we would be referred cases sometimes by John Zaffis back again before Haunted Collector, and people were so aware of him. You know, he's somebody who was an advisor for our group. We would send cases to him. He would send cases to us. I've been part of the group that took people up to John's friends, Larry and Deb Elward, who live in Connecticut. He's written several books with them. I actually wrote the foreword to one of them. But we would take people up there to actually have exorcisms by Father Larry, who's a priest. And at one of those exorcisms, and again, this isn't somebody spitting green pea soup and head spinning around. They weren't that dramatic. It's a priest saying prayers over somebody.
Right.
But during one of those exorcisms, I actually had one of the most significant experiences I've ever had, and I haven't seen it since. But Father Larry was performing an exorcism. He's doing his prayers. His wife, Deb, is a medium, very talented. John Zaffis's best friend. She's watching and observing and just holding the space. And I saw with the naked eye ectoplasm from Father Larry. He's saying prayers. And actually it was coming. It looked like smoke. It looked like smoke was liquid. Liquid smoke was pooling. It looked like it was pooling and then dripping from his fingertips and from his nose.
Interesting.
And I thought it looked like he was leaking. And I had never seen anything. We were just observing. We brought the people up, drove them up from South Jersey to Connecticut, sat there with them for the exorcism, took them home. So we weren't part of it. I was filming. My video camera didn't get it. But I saw it with the naked eye, and another member, we talked later, and she had also seen it with the naked eye, ectoplasm. Yeah, so
crazy.
That was super cool. But yeah, we did deal with the darker stuff. But, you know, again, it was just to help people. Nothing we've done has been ego-driven. Nothing was to glorify, to sensationalize, or anything. You know, it was very private, and it was at risk to ourselves because, you know, my son would have weird dreams at certain times when we were dealing with a negative case, or I would feel things in my house, and, you know, it wasn't without risk. So your approach is good, you know, realizing that you just want Casper benevolent, innocuous spirits because you don't want to deal with any fallout from that. That's wise. People that go in and provoke and want to kick the hornet's nest and are shocked when they get stung. Well,
Nope,
And I
don't call me.
and I respect what you both were talking about, how the certain practices that your group had, where you might have only one person have all the information, and therefore they're not gonna, like, it's kind of like that thing that happens, like if you're going to, the Shanley, and people say, oh, well, in the third floor second room is when this and this happens, like, you're like, oh, okay, now I'm expecting it to happen there.
yeah.
I remember in Rochester there was the site of, there was no physical structure there anymore, but Frederick Douglass had lived in this one part of Rochester, and we went out there one night as a group to see what was there, to have an experience. And there was a lot of information given to us that night, perhaps by Frederick Douglass, perhaps by who knows. And the interesting thing was that we hadn't done the research ahead of time. So then this stuff that, names and, where people were buried, and these, like, like for cemeteries, not like, oh, you better go find someone's foundation because so-and-so's there. But in any case, some of these things that came up, then we did the research and we're like, well, okay, it kind of bore out some validity, rather than, hey, we're going to go to this historic site. Let's jam and get all the notes and figure all this stuff out ahead of time. So I do like that approach. It's kind of has a little bit of that scientific method to it. Like,
Yeah.
If you don't know what to expect, and then you can verify it afterwards, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I because of who I was trained under, and learned from, I definitely, now, I mean, I still practice the same types of stuff. There's a questionnaire, there's a prelim, there's a phone call, there's a let's go out and check it out first, and this and that. And honestly, the last 5, and I say this because I haven't gotten a private case in a long time. I love private cases.
Yeah.
I love helping people.
Yes.
So I love private cases, but the last 5, we didn't investigate. We were able to help the family just by giving them education, just by giving them tools, by helping them set boundaries, whether
Yes.
or not what they're experiencing is true paranormal activity, or if it is just this like self-manifestation because, you get scared. So we're all sleeping in the living room together in the middle of the floor, and nobody wants to go upstairs, and they start to just keep on building. When you help them to not be scared, things then itself kind of like even keel and go out. I mean, I still talk to people that I had to go out and talk to, and just to make sure they're okay. I still keep in contact with them, and for me, I love private cases.
That was another thing that I actually found frustrating, because I agree with you. I love helping people. And again, it's a passion, heart-led thing. And this isn't me bashing the guys from Ghost Hunters, just so you guys know. I've done plenty of events with Steve and Dave and Bruce Tango ever since, and Jason ever since the show. I've done plenty. And Bruce has had me out as a guest for several of his events in New Jersey. So I have a fine relationship with all of them. It's when I'm critiquing, it's not those 3 guys. Those 3 guys are there as investigators like we are, but they work for a production company that has a goal, and they have a product to sell, and they're going to package it and sell it. So I just have to put that disclaimer. But one thing that kind of I found a little, disappointing is I asked them, I said, so how do you handle follow-ups after we do these investigations? And they were like, we don't, because what Taryn and I were started with is, like she says, before you go out into a private home, you send them a questionnaire, and these people fill out the questionnaire. They send it back, answering a lot of personal questions to get the full breadth of what might be going on. Then you set up a preliminary meeting So we call it a prelim. So that's when 2 or 3 investigators go out when it's convenient, during the day, at night, whatever. You sit with the people. It's almost like you're interviewing and making sure that what they answered kind of
Yeah, you're
matches
going
up.
over the
It checks
questionnaire
out.
again.
There's
That
nothing
questionnaire
hinky.
that questionnaire gets gone over like 3 times. You first
Yeah.
read it, and then you call them, you talk to them
Yeah.
about it, you set the prelim up, you go out there with the prelim
Mhm.
paperwork, you're going over those questions again.
Yeah. You
You
want to
know,
know what you're getting yourself into. You want to know if there's some sort of psychological issue. Is there a substance abuse issue? Is there something other than, or something darker that you don't want to stumble into?
right,
And just because it's a mental health issue, just because it might be addiction, doesn't mean we don't help you. We just want to know before we go in what we might be dealing with. So
right,
then after that, you do the investigation. You go home, everybody reviews their evidence, you submit to them a formal report. But in that interim, from the time you leave their house until you actually give them that first report, you schedule a follow-up person. So somebody who was there that night will now be their follow-up person. You're going to reach out to that person. I'm going to
right.
call that homeowner in 48 hours. How have you been? How's the activity since we've been there? Do you have any questions? How do you feel? It's
Absolutely.
about the client. And then at 2 weeks, they're going to contact them. At 4 weeks, and every week, every 2 weeks until they get their report. And then we see if they have any questions about the report. So, and again, all of this was done for free. We didn't charge a dime ever. We didn't charge mileage. We didn't, if you gave us cookies and donuts, awesome,
Which was great.
but
That
that was
happened.
great. But, we did it because we were passionate about the paranormal and we really cared about helping people with authenticity and giving them real help. And if it meant, like Taryn said, just sitting and having a conversation and helping them set boundaries and helping them declutter and get the feng shui going and whatever it took to counsel them is what we did because we wanted to help.
Yeah,
And for a show to just go in and stir things up and do a show and bring a lot of focus and attention on the entities there, and then to just walk away and not really follow up, again, it's entertainment,
Right. But
but
it's in the sense that for a lot of America, that's how they feel ghost groups would operate.
yeah,
Then it's creating an unhealthy template
yes,
because, yeah, there's not the care and compassion for seeing how things wrap up or the reach outs or the follow ups. But it's like, oh, did we get anything?
and that
Cool.
was my
That was a good
problem.
night.
That was my problem with Dead Files. Like I watched the first
mm,
season and I was okay, but then I was like, wow, like the like it just got worse and worse. Like how I mean, every client was crying and they would just leave.
mm.
Mm.
Yeah, that's tough. I don't know if they had a part of the production followed up. I don't know, but
Now I hear that they've replaced Amy
yes,
and
with
it's gonna be
Cindy.
Kaza, right? And
Yeah,
so I might watch to see how that goes, but I couldn't do it because like I said, I'm here to help a client. You know what I mean? I
sure.
love private cases. I love helping families. Last case we did had 3 little girls that were
Mm.
scared
Mm.
to death to sleep in their room,
Ooh.
and they're sleeping in their room.
Taryn, it's like we're connected. I tell you, that is one of the things that I always found the most rewarding when you worked on a case with a family with young children who were afraid to sleep in their own beds. And that when you were finished working with them, they were able to sleep at night.
Yeah,
That was the pinnacle of reward for me.
yeah,
Like, yeah, close your wallet. Give me
yeah,
that, give
yeah,
me
that's
that.
it. That's what I said. Everybody's like, "Oh, do you get paid for this?" I'm like, that in itself is rewarding, you know?
Exactly.
You know, that it's like, um, you know, one of my an apparition photo I have one in all the years of investigating, hanging up in Mark Nesbitt's store. Oh,
Oh,
is he gonna
cool.
does he pay you for that? I'm like, that's the payment.
Mm,
Be I mean, being in my picture hanging up in Mark Nesbitt's
yeah.
place, that's all the payment I
That's
need,
amazing.
you know? That's
Yeah,
it. So yeah, I agree with you.
yeah.
I love all right, let's say, where are you guys gonna be at? And how can people do you guys set up do you guys go would you go out and do you guys do gallery stuff? Do you guys
We
do private parties? Do you guys
yes.
okay, so
We
tell everybody
do, and we have done some private events. or events that someone sets up at a location, and we did a nice what did we do up there? We did a psychic development class.
True.
At one location. We can do like an intro to mediumship type thing, angel card parties. Or you can just come to us for a reading, and readings don't have to be in person. You can do them remotely just as easily as anything else. I mean, energy is not restricted and inhibited by distance. So we can absolutely sit down and do a Zoom or FaceTime reading with people. The best way to reach us for those types of things is again, facebook.com/Song of the Spirit. If you want to see us in person, as of now, there's only one that we have that's firm for this year, and that's the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash coming up July 14th through 16th in Gettysburg,
July
the happiest
14th
place on earth,
through
happiest sad
16th.
place on earth. Yeah, guys, if you're in the area, if you've never been to Gettysburg, if you just want to,
place in the universe,
it really is, and to come out and be part of this group of people all getting together to help charities is amazing.
and we have so much fun. Tell me, the bash is like, I think the bash, even for vendors, it's just fun.
It's a great time.
Yeah.
You know, they basically give us the run of that whole little wing of the hotel. So if people remember the phenomenology days where the after parties were, you know, we would have like that second lobby in the hotel, and that was like, they would just leave us alone. We could bring down cases of beer. Nobody would harass us. We could just sit and party and play music and have fun all night long. It's the same
luggage carts
way.
Down.
Exactly. It's the same. Thank you for posting the link, Darlene. But it's the same way at Gettysburg. They set up, Pam and Steve Barry set up a stage outside where they'll have bands playing. They'll have a sound system with music when the band shuts down. They've got the bar going there. And then when the bar shuts down, we're allowed to have our own packaged goods. So it's just, and again, it's not about drinking and partying and, you know, going crazy with a lampshade on your head, but it's just this fellowship and community because like Terrence says, these paranormal conversations are where it's at. You know, we've always believed that nobody, again, we don't know what ghosts are. Nobody has the answers, but we've always believed that the answers exist in the space between us. And it's only by having these conversations, by expanding your network and meeting people from different areas, that maybe we'll have a chance to get a glimmer of an answer. So come out, support the charities, and just you know, just be in that Gettysburg air, because it's, you feel it. You do. You just, the energy, you just feel it. It's like no other place on earth. So we highly recommend it.
They are doing the reenactments again this year, finally.
Oh, good.
And I actually volunteered to work it, so I will be working the Gettysburg reenactments.
That's great. Wow. Oh, looking forward to that.
The guy that owns it and is running it will be on my show May 24th.
Cool.
So he has done so much work. I actually went out when I was in Gettysburg last weekend. I went out and he showed me where the site is for the reenactments, because they can't do it on the actual battlefield because you know, they just can't. They can't mess with the grounds. But so people in town have to donate their farms. And this couple there's 5 people that own this farmland, which you can imagine with 5 people owning it, how large it is. And so here's the thing, right? I'm there, I'm being all history buff, right? He starts riding me around the site, and we go past this building. He's like, "Oh, you gotta see this. It's a church. It was built in 1830. I'm like, right? We get out, and he goes, "Check this out." Now there's all these like carved names and initials, and there's like 1842, 1876. I go, wow. And I'll start to get chills, and I go, all right. And he goes, I know what you're going to ask me. Yes. Confederate Army went through here. And I said, you mean to tell me that there's no history that they did not use? They used every building they came across for whatever reason. And he goes, there's no legit record, but you, as historians, as they used every building they came across.
They had to.
For whatever reason. It doesn't mean it had to be a field hospital.
Right.
They used every building. And I said, damn, I went in. We start going around. A cemetery. 1700s, 1800s. There's a across from the peach orchard is the Sherfy house. And the Sherfy were the ones that I've been obsessed with this house way before the Paranormal Peaches existed or even thought of. So I've been obsessed with this house, but the Sherfy house, he was Sherfy's, they were the ones that built or, created the peach orchard.
Wow.
And then they're in this cemetery. Their whole family
Wow.
is buried in this cemetery on this property. I go, huh. I'm like, please, can you tell me my name?
That's
I
amazing.
investigate.
Woo!
Woo!
All
Yeah.
right.
Cool.
Wow.
Right.
Anyways.
Awesome.
So are you guys going to Penhurst?
No, we actually can. Our son just graduated college, so next week is graduation.
Oh,
Yeah, I know. His last day of finals was yesterday, and graduation is next week. So yeah, we can. And we loved it. We went last time. We actually spoke last time. So Bob and Gina were nice enough to invite us, and we did readings. We got to lecture and loved it. One of our favorite places. Yeah, fantastic location. We hope you guys have great weather.
Yeah, me too. I've worked all 3 of them so far. So I was there when it was that 112 and everybody was like,
oh gosh,
ready to kill everybody.
It was brutal.
That was brutal. The outdoor tents and
But you know what? They did really, really try, and they really did. I can't imagine if they didn't what it would have been like.
Correct.
What they did.
Yeah.
I mean, they made it. They did the best they could, and honestly, I can't imagine what would have happened if they didn't do what they did. You know?
Yeah.
But
even hot and sweaty, it's worth it.
Yeah.
Like honestly, we couldn't recommend that place more. Just if you can go, do it.
For sure. Absolutely. Well, guys, why does my computer keep going black?
Yeah, it's funny. Ours does too.
Does it?
Yeah. 3 times. Weird. Yeah. Interesting.
I want to. I've had you guys for almost 2 hours. You guys probably want to kill me right now.
No, this has been great.
It's fun.
So, again, really quick, just run down where people can find you guys.
Okay.
And go ahead.
So again, you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Song of the Spirit. And that's a jumping off point to everything else that we have and do. If you want to have a reading from us, you can message us through Song of the Spirit. And also we're going to, with your permission, we'd like to, because I know there was so much to talk about. And then there were some questions that we just didn't have time to get to, but if it's okay with you, we might even pull some of those questions and answer them on our Facebook page.
Oh my God, please. If you want, this was one I had started. Totally forgot about it. I'm so sorry.
Oh yeah, no, I have not. But I will say that one of our friends, MJ Dickinson out in, she's from South Africa, but she lives in England now. She's actually just now writing a book on some of the African spiritual, paranormal type things. So yeah, no, I've never explored it, but somebody we know is actually putting together a book that she's researching herself. And again, she's from South Africa. So yeah, very interesting. That's a great question.
Very good question.
But yeah, we'll pull more up and we'll just do like some little shorts or something, some reels.
Listen, this is your show. You do whatever you want with it.
And we'll link to you, of course. But yeah, we'll just answer the questions. And yeah.
Yeah.
I want to appreciate everybody for coming in, and thank you so much for having us. This has been great.
This was amazing. I have been so looking forward to this. You have no idea. So, I mean, just because of the positive experience I had with the 2 of you, it was just amazing. It literally brought tears to my eyes.
Oh.
And that doesn't happen. You guys saw it. That doesn't happen for me. Yeah. So that to me was, I was very thankful for that.
Well, we're thankful too, because
we are.
Not only did it kind of create an instant bond from someone that you were just always in motion. We're like, oh, there's that Karen person, and boom, boom, boom. But the other thing too that is really nice about this type of thing is that whatever your gifts and talents are, if you're able to help uplift someone who themselves is a light worker, is out there trying to uplift people, you're lifting up one of the good guys or the good gals, and then that just makes everyone stronger. So that's why, it's really awesome to feel that that it had that effect on you. So
yeah, cool. And make sure you pull out your deck once in a while and just say, what do you need me to know today? What should I know? And pull one card for yourself. It doesn't have to be formal. And just see what the message is. Yeah.
It's the third time somebody's told me to do that, and I haven't done it, so maybe I should do it.
It's just a little gift to give to yourself to just help get some clarity and also to feel supported. Because when you pull a card that's so relevant, you're going to be like, you know what? I'm not alone. I'm not going through this by myself. It's not just me having a crazy day. It's their support. We just can't see it. So it's just an affirmation. Yeah. Treat yourself.
Mike, is your little guitar thing by you? You want to serenade us out of the show there?
Oh, I'm going to grab his guitar.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I know I'm springing it on you, but.
Sorry, but Darlene just said something really nice about you, so we should probably focus on that.
This is probably the wrong one. Is that in tune, you think? Let me grab another one.
Absolutely.
We have a lot of guitars.
Taryn, it. All right.
That one's in the open tuning.
That's okay.
It's open, but not fully tuned. Yeah, the one that's in the stand would be better. This is a live show.
I know, this is great. I love it.
There's no PAs to bring stuff out. Oh yeah.
Give me a second.
Nope, you're good. We have all the time. I know I kind of sprung that on you guys. You guys had no idea I was going to do that, but
we have a lot of guitars.
You have to have a lot of guitars.
Cheers, Brewskis.
What do you feel like?
I want you to play what your favorite song is to play.
Oh. Hey, where did we go? Days when the rains came down in the hollow, playing a new game, standing in the sunlight laughing, hiding behind the rainbow's wall, in the misty morning fog with our hearts a thumping. You, my brown-eyed girl, you, my brown-eyed girl. Do you remember when we used to sing? La 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 la, get down. La 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 la, get down. La 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 la, get down. La 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 la, get down. La dee da.
Woo! Yay! That was awesome.
Thank you. Yay!
How was that spot on?
Thank you so much. This is great.
You guys rock.
That was amazing. You guys are awesome. I love you both so much.
We
I
love you
can't wait to see
too.
you.
Yeah.
And I definitely, if I don't message you, Roz, because I will forget because of my ADD, please remind me to give you my size. And
I will.
Let's set that up so I can order my shoes.
Brilliant. Yeah.
And I love you both so much.
Sure. We love you too. Thank you.
Keep doing the good stuff.
Thank you to everybody that tuned in.
Thank you everybody for watching.
Right.
And I'll see you next time.
Bye.
Be well, Paranormal Brew.